Welcome in, guys, to the Cash It Pod, episode number 5. It's a big week coming up. Super Bowl Sunday, obviously. We'll have a Super Bowl special coming later this week. We're going to stay focused on the NBA today. And been a lot going on in NBA. We have the deadline coming up later on this week. Already have some trades going on. Now, obviously, the big Kyrie trade. We'll dive into all of that today. John, things have been running hot. How you doing?
As long as we keep running hot, I'm doing real good. Friday, Saturday, real good days, 6-1. Again, so important to get down at the right number. No better example than the Wizard net game. The game the Wizards had a 20-plus point lead in the game. Get a bad break. Kuzma gets hurt in the game. He's also out tonight. You guys won't be seeing. We're taping this Thursday. You guys won't see this till Friday, but Kuzma out tonight. Also, Beal out tonight. And that'll explain our love bet on the Cavs last night. Once we got the info that both guys would be out all over the Cavs, even though they're in a back-to-back. But getting back to the Wizard net game, a 20-plus point lead. Kuzma goes down. Beal was already out, so it's just left Porzingis and the rest of the Wizards. And a bunch of no-names, if you're not an NBA fanatic. Cam Thomas. Patty Mills, Sumner come up and play phenomenal for the Nets, and they catch the game at the end. And if you guys saw the end of the game, what an amazing end. Wizards shooting a foul shot down 2 with seconds left, miss. Nets get the rebound, go the full length of the court, try to throw it down with no reason, just supposed to dribble it out, but put it down a tenth or 2/10 of a second too late. The bucket doesn't count. Game lands 2. We took 3 in the morning. Again, guys, that's the key to getting down at the right number. Again, we talked about the Cavs game today. We're sitting right on top of the computer as we're getting ready to shoot the podcast. Just before we get started, get the info that Beal is going to be out. This game had gone down all morning, all day. All the money was for the Wizards in this game. And to me, it seemed like, okay, they must know that Beal is going to play tonight because we already know Kuzma is out. Just can't see it. The Wizards have blown back-to-back 20-plus point leads their last 2 games, first against Portland and then against the Nets, as we spoke about. Be without Kuzma and Beal again tonight. So we were on top of this game as soon as we got the info, laid 1. And this would be a love bet. Love the Cavs in this spot. They're fully healthy. They're resting Rubio tonight, who has been, since he's come in the lineup, he's a lot of help. Rubio's a lot of help. Another ball handler. They're inching up his minutes. He's not playing back-to-backs. So he's out tonight, but they do get Karis LeVert back. This game was a no-brainer for me based on the injuries, Ben.
Yeah, Cleveland, great backcourt, obviously, with Mitchell and Garland, but Rubio coming off the bench. And if you remember that Lakers team bit back that won the championship, obviously, in 2020, Rondo coming off the bench. I mean, he was just a massive veteran playmaker, and that's kind of what Ricky Rubio provides to that depth there for Cleveland. So absolutely huge there. To your point about the Wizards-Nets game, that was just one of the luckiest covers. The skill was getting the +3, beating that line by 4 points. So the fact there was a skill side aspect, but watching that, missed both free throws, could have gone to overtime and lost it, could have had the push, another foul, should have been another foul. Just crazy in all aspects.
So not many times do the line makers get it wrong. There's a game they got wrong. The Nets had just announced the day before that Kyrie's asking for a trade. So as you can see in my preview, I wrote, even if Kyrie plays, what effect will this have on his play, even if he plays? When the line come up 3, look, this was a triple revenge. We talk about revenges a lot. The Wizards had lost all 3 meetings to Brooklyn, including the last time in Brooklyn. We were on the Wizards on that one. If everybody remembers, we took +6. The game landed 6. Was another tough one to take a push. I think we pushed 2 games that night. If you guys remember, we had the Knicks and the Wizards and pushed 2 games. The Knicks were playing the Bucks. They pushed. Nets were playing the Wizards. +6, they pushed. So one of the rare nights we had 2 pushes. But anyway, so important to get down at the right number. And in this game, I think we did. The line is now shot up, Ben.
Yeah, got to be a good sign there for the Nets, what they got out of those guys just coming off the bench. Like you mentioned earlier, some of those rotationary guys like Thomas and Patty Mills. Now they're adding the guard depth. So let's talk about that trade a little bit. So they bring in Dinwiddie, they bring in Dorian Finney-Smith. Kyrie, as good as he is, obviously just a locker room cancer to pretty much any team he's played on.
Gotta say it.
Yeah, I do think that he could be a good second option to Luka and the Mavs, depending on how much he buys into being a second option.
You said it right there. He bought in with LeBron back in the day, but not easily bought in. Went to Boston, was a problem. He's been nothing but a problem. Look, I haven't taken the COVID shot either. But if I was making $30-40 million, okay, and I could only play home games if I took the shot, that's what you do. That's what's called a team, okay? So he let his team down last year. He let his team down this year with stupid shit that he said, and I'm not getting into the politics of it. Keep all the ball players. Shut the fuck up. I'm not telling you want to get involved in your social issues and stuff. You do whatever you want, but it's going to have an effect on your team. There's always going to be some pushback.
Absolutely.
And look, distractions is what cost teams wins. Okay. Again, I'm not here for the political part. I'm here to make money off these guys. And you want to be a distraction? I'm going to bet against your team. That's what we look for in certain games. Just that little bit of an edge. So if you're worried about other shit, if you got other shit going on in the locker room, that's a distraction. That's going to make me bet the other team. So again, I'm not picking sides here. I don't care what anybody does. If I see it fucking up the chemistry on a team, it's easy for me. I bet the other side. And that was the case tonight with the Wizards, whether he was going to play or not. When the trade happened that they gave away Jared Allen, when they put this super threesome together, Kyrie, KD, and Harden, I would have got rid of Kyrie and kept Jared Allen. They needed a big man at the time. You were going to have two scorers in Harden and KD anyway. You needed somebody to protect the paint, which Jared Allen does a phenomenal job of. So I would have got rid of him then. So give me a couple of guys back. Dinwiddie, who's been with the Nets before. Dorian Finney-Smith, another 3-and-D guy. A couple of picks. And I'm fine with it. It's all about how KD comes back anyway. Nets, before KD got hurt, they'd won 13 of 14 games going into that injury in the game against Miami. If he comes back playing the same level he was, they'll still threaten. Nets are going to be one of the deepest, if not the deepest teams in the NBA once they get him back healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Brooklyn, what they get guard depth-wise, like we mentioned already, Curry, Patty Mills, Dinwiddie, who's played with the organization before. So that's also another part in the trade. They have someone with a little bit of chemistry there. Obviously, a lot of those guys in the team he was with are gone. But still, just coming back to a place he's been before, that's a lot easier of a transition than to Kyrie Irving, who's now going to Dallas, playing with a bunch of guys he hasn't played before. But like I said earlier, though, if he can buy into being a true number two like he did with LeBron, we'll see. I mean, I think there's potential there. Luke is a top 5 player in the league, so you obviously always have potential with that. And it's just going to be interesting to see. I mean, what he's played with Tatum, Brown, Harden, KD since LeBron, all guys who are up there in the top of MVP conversations year in, year out, hasn't had success since his Cleveland days. So going to be interesting to see with Dallas. Talking a little bit about some of these teams who are getting guys back, though, because you're bringing up Kevin Durant. What are they going to get when he comes back? What version of him? Two teams who've kind of gotten guys back recently were the Pelicans with Ingram, who's slowly transitioning back, looking a bit better. He looked great against the Lakers. And Anthony Davis coming off a couple of games where he's starting to look back. Last year, when he kind of came in and out, Anthony Davis, with those injuries, he did not look like the same Anthony Davis. He had his worst shooting season ever. Comes back, a couple of 30-point games already now, 14 boards in those. Lakers piecing together a little bit. So I think once they get past this LeBron, milestone, all the drama around it, they could be looking at something moving forward.
Yeah. Hey, we saw how good AD could be. We were reminded of that when LeBron got hurt earlier in the year. He had some insane games, was posting video game numbers.
Yep.
But as always, the problem with AD is staying healthy. Healthy as constituted AD, LeBron. You've got now Hachimura. You got Westbrook coming off the bench. They're good enough to be in the playoffs. They're not going to threaten for the Western Conference. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Good luck to LeBron. Let's see if he gets the does he need 36, I think it is, to get the all-time scoring lead. Look, that was one of the reasons I bet, if you guys don't know, if you had to beat the bookie member, we bet the New Orleans Pelicans on Saturday in the second half. And this was one of the reasons. So you had the Lakers went up by 11 in the first half. Pelicans had dropped 10 straight, looked like a dead team. But the spot screamed, and this is when we talk about spots. It was the Lakers' final game of a long road trip. It was obvious LeBron wasn't going to break the scoring record that night. So the team with a double-digit lead, last of a trip, what was already in their minds, going home to LA and getting LeBron to break the all-time record. And to me, this was an easy one. I knew Pelicans, after losing 10 straight, we're going to put up a fight. Ingram looked good, which turned out to be his best game since he's back. Then he wound up sitting yesterday. And the Pelicans wind up beating them outright. Again, all about the spots. Clippers have a similar spot tonight. End of a long road trip. Normally, this would be an automatic bet. A decimated a decimated Brooklyn Nets team. I'm showing my age. Not only decimated tonight, but coming off that miracle win, coming back down from rallying from down 20-something against the Wizards to take that win. But Clippers, their sixth game of a 10-day road trip, sixth and final game of a 10-day road trip, coming off a tough overtime game against the Knicks their last game. Now, they spent the last few days in New York and Brooklyn. You're talking about those are two of the boroughs. They're miles apart. There might have been a lot of partying being done in the Big Apple these last couple of days. Last of a trip, always tough. That last of a trip, you're going coast to coast. So while this team should crush them, this might be another second half bet. Maybe Brooklyn with the back door if the Clippers open up a big lead. And I usually don't play these games, but maybe a decent bet. Clippers to get out to a good start against an undermanned net team tonight.
Yeah, similar Raptors Memphis yesterday. We kind of talked about that between you and I, but just horrible spot for Toronto originally, right? Going into that game, seventh game, long road trip. But then you have all the drama going on with Memphis. You have the suspension with Brooks. You have Jaren Jackson who's doing a little issue, ended up playing. Morant, who ended up sitting out. Toronto's had success in that matchup, ended up pulling out the game. Just kind of weird sometimes where those spots kind of line up against one another. Raptors pulled it out. We'll see what happens with Clippers Nets going on tonight.
Continuity. That'll do it every time. Memphis, I mean, they were rolling. Look what's happened to them lately. Now 1-8 their last 9 games. They've looked like a totally different team since Adams went down. We talk about it. Not one of your sexy players. You could chalk Adams up to like one of your offensive linemen, just doing the dirty work, setting the picks, bringing toughness in the paint, getting rebounds. All of a sudden, just a different team, and you get whatever shit Ja Morant's bringing to the team and his entourage and his father. Look, since that little thing with Sharp out in L.A., the team has been a fucking disaster. It looks like it's continuing yesterday. Here's a spot. They catch Toronto coming in at the end of a 12-day road trip. They should have been dead, should have walked all over them in a game they need to win. They haven't been playing good basketball, and they let Toronto escape Memphis with a win. Truth be said, Toronto had won their last 4 trips into Memphis. Other spots that we look about, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on a Toronto team looking to go home after a coast-to-coast 12-day trip just before the All-Star break. Most of these guys know this is going to be a different team. Anunoby's almost a foregone conclusion. He hasn't played since the first game of the trip. I'm pretty sure he's seen his last game in a Toronto uniform. So just couldn't pull the trigger on that one. But Memphis right now looking as messed up as Toronto is.
Yeah, Anunoby, I wonder if, I don't know how much Dallas has left trading-wise, but he could be a nice wing piece, kind of piece together a little bit some of that defense they lost with Dorian Finney-Smith. As far as Memphis and all the drama they've been having going on, don't know who's a bigger sideline distraction for these star players, like Patrick Mahomes' brother, Jackson Mahomes, and then you have John Morant's dad. It just seems to cause extra problems. Don't want any of that. Obviously, like you said, continuity is a big factor. Speaking of continuity, John, Curry goes down. Golden State, obviously, that's the free bet tonight. Those of you guys who don't know, free bet's been running hot, 7-2 the last 9 of those. Really a hot start to the month, 10-4 to start the month. But as far as for Golden State moving forward these next couple of weeks, do you think this is going to be one of those things that kind of helps them a little bit? Because Golden State's been a little bit up and down. At first of the year, it's just split 50-50. Couldn't win on the road, could only win at home. Curry comes back. They start to piece it get a little bit better. And last couple of weeks just kind of been all over the place. So how do you feel about this Curry injury just moving forward for the Warriors?
Tonight, I feel good about it. That's why we bet Golden State.
Yep.
Golden State's actually won 6 of their last 8 games that Curry has been out of the lineup. Now they're getting other guys back. Wiggins was out for a good chunk of time. He's back in the lineup. And they have they just dominate the Thunder. They've won 7 straight, 5-1-1 against the spread. Last 3 visits to Golden State, they've beat them by 22.7. But we got opposition. I'm watching the screen right now, so it's about 6:30, guys, Thursday night as we shoot this podcast. And this game is getting taken down to 3 as we speak. So we'll be looking for another injury there. If there's not, I still like Golden State in this spot. Now, that's against the team that they own and at home. As far as how they're going to play, right now they're saying Curry is going to be out through the All-Star break. Let's see how much longer it's going to be after that, though. Can they survive long-term without Steph? Yeah, as a 500 team, not much better than that. They're not going to threaten for the Western Conference title without Steph. He's too big. Tonight's game, yeah, they can get away with that. Going to be tough without Steph. Look, last year, and I've said this a few times, I feel they only won the championship because Steph went down in that game against Boston, missed the rest of the regular season, allowed Poole to step up, get the confidence to go into playoffs, and gave Curry some rest on those legs to give him that energy instead of looking like CP3, a worn-out dog by the time the playoffs came rolling around.
Yeah, it's with that injury was huge last season. And also just moving forward with Golden State with contract-wise, I mean, Draymond and Klay Thompson both kind of due for new contracts soon. There's been all kind of talks. They're going to break up the dynasty. This could be one of those little stretches here. Like, okay, prove your value? Who's worth keeping here next? Because obviously they're already locked in with Wiggins and Poole and some of these young guys on contracts.
I think it's going to be the youth movement. Curry's the face of the franchise. They'll never get rid of Curry.
Absolutely.
Never get rid of Steph. Klay and Dre, odd men out. We'll see how this year goes.
Yep, we'll see how that shapes up. We can start to dive in a little bit onto tomorrow's card with the Tuesday slate and whatever else comes that way with it. Knicks Magic, first game on this Tuesday card that we have coming up, guys. You have this Knicks team now playing on the road. They went 2-2 on the homestand. Knicks, lot of home struggles, but best against the spread team on the road. 17-9 against the spread on the road, 15-11 straight up. Barrett right now listed questionable. We'll see what's going on with him. And this Orlando team, they're returning from a trip. They went 3-1. They've been playing pretty good basketball. They even pulled out a game there with Banchero absolutely shot the bed. Knicks beat them earlier this season in New York. They split meetings last year. I have no major feel on this game. Would be a slight lean to the Knicks, just the road success, excuse me. And this is a team here, Orlando, returning from a trip. That first game back, always a bit tough.
I'm going to have to look at this one more. There's a lot of angles here. So, as you said, Knicks won the first meeting back in October, beat them by 13, beat the Magic. Last year, they split, but Knicks won 2 games in Orlando. Orlando won the 2 games at New York. The 2 games that Knicks won in Orlando by a combined 55 points. So they laid it on them pretty thick. As you said, Knicks, best road team against the spread in the NBA right now. But they're coming off 4 games in 6 days, all at home. But 2 of those games were overtime. So you might have a little bit of a tired team. Barrett, he was a late scratch just before the game yesterday against the 76ers with an illness. And like I said, so you got overtime games. You've got a big win coming over off Philly, a little revenge for the Christmas Day blow-up that they had. Yep. So it might be a tough spot for the Knicks. Also a tough spot, that first game home when you're returning home from a trip for Orlando. They're coming off a couple of nice wins at the end. We had them tonight against the Magic. Just catching some infos here for tomorrow. Be a lot of injury info for tomorrow as we'll go through the games. So, yeah, real tough number. The overnight right now sitting at 1.5 or 2. DraftKings has got 2, depending on your sports book. I don't have it. Right now, it's an up-in-the-air game. Obviously, got to find out about Barrett.
Yeah, with a big injury there. Flip the line either side. Next game, John, is Hawks Pelicans. Now, last week I said this Pelicans team was going to start to go on their little run with starting with that Denver game. Did not happen then, but coming into this game against Atlanta, they now won 2 in a row. Last one, they did it without Ingram or Valanciunas, completely depleted, and they just took care of business against Sacramento. So I still think this is the stretch. Pelicans are going to go on their little bit of a run here leading up until the All-Star break. Only problem is Hawks have kind of dominated the matchup. They've won 7 of the last 8 meetings, 6-2 against the spread. They've won the last 3 at New Orleans by an average of 12 points. It is the 5th and final game of an 8-day trip, so really a bad spot for Atlanta. I'm high on the Pelicans moving forward. I think they're a team trending upward as they get healthier. Ingram and Valanciunas are both listed questionable. My one,
no, they're both probable.
Both probable now. Excuse me, both probable now.
Just upgraded now. Yep.
Oh, there we go. So both upgraded probable. Would increase my lean there with the Pelicans. One hesitancy of mine is that ownership trend there from Atlanta, winning 7 of the last 8 meetings.
Yeah. Pelicans, we had the Pelicans in the second half against the Lakers.
Yep.
We went against them the next day, meaning yesterday. Just thought that was a spot Sacramento would come to play. Sacramento was coming off a tough loss against the Pacers. Thought they would show up. Pelicans were sitting Valanciunas and Ingram, and somehow scored a $130 and change and got it done against Sacramento. Look, Sacramento, different team with Fox out. They scored they lead the league and they lead the NBA in scoring. But in 2 games, the 2 games that Fox missed, 104 points in each of those 2 games. So that's pretty much the reason there. Pelicans, they'll get Ingram and Valanciunas, like we said. They'll both be back tomorrow. But Hawks do have a little edge in the series. Just that last game of a trip. When it's over a week, guys, it's really tough, especially the Hawks situation. They're coming back from Denver. Trae Young missed that game. He'll be back for them. So this is a game Atlanta needs. It's a game Pelicans after now have won 2 straight after losing 10 in a row. Another tough game. There's no line on this game, so it's tough to give you who I like without me seeing a line. We'll talk more about this one later.
Yeah, I'm seeing a soft opening number on 5 dimes of -4, but that's not a true number by any means for you guys listening. I mean, by the time you guys watch this, there will be true lines out. So we'll see how close that 4 is on this game. And yeah, like you said, last game of trip, and it's just also a kind of a unique time of year for that last game of trip. You know, a week or so out from the All-Star game now, so these guys kind of ready for that week vacation, kind of get a little bit of a break. So a little bit of that extra kind of waiting to go home now after this trip for the Hawks. Next game, John, Suns and Nets. Now we do have the Nets who are going to be playing on a back-to-back. Going to be interesting if we see Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, if they make their debut there for the season with Brooklyn. And then now you have this Phoenix team who's been playing great. 8-2 their last 10. They're getting rhythm. They've been playing great, coming off a win against the Pistons. And Devin Booker's coming back. So going to be interesting what we get from him as far as the matchup history. The Suns run of this 8-2 run, the first win of that was against Brooklyn in Phoenix. That was back on January 19th. And they have won the last 3 meetings. So a little bit of a lead here to the under for me would be with Booker returning. Typically we see that cause a little bit of issues. If the Nets have a couple of guys coming in here for them and Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, could see a little bit of cohesiveness issues for them early on. I think we could see a lot of teams struggle, or both teams struggling to gel just with new guys being mixed in the lineup.
Here's a game I really can't talk as an expert till we see the game tonight. What kind of game do they have tonight? Do they have another tough game that goes down to the wire? Spencer Dinwiddie and Finney-Smith, they still might not be available tomorrow. All depends on when Kyrie gets his physical, when they get into town and take their physical. So at this point, we don't know if those guys are playing. Ben Simmons is sitting out again tonight. Will he again be out tomorrow? Steph Curry, he's sitting tonight. Will he be out again tomorrow? TJ Warren is going to play tonight. This is his first game back after 4 games. I can almost guarantee you he's not playing back-to-back tomorrow. So as much of a skeleton crew the Nets are playing with tonight, things could be even worse tomorrow. And like you says, Phoenix, they're going to get Devin Booker back after missing the amount of time he did. I'm sure he'll be on a minutes restriction. Again, I've got no lineup on this game without seeing what the Nets do tonight and having the knowledge of will these players be available. Can't give you my expert opinion on this one.
Nope, that's a tough one. And this Bulls-Memphis one also, like we said, Ja Morant now going to be probable. Another little bit of an injury game. You have this Bulls team also playing tonight, so we'll see what they get against San Antonio. How easy of a back-to-back is it going to be? Should be a fairly easy game tonight. 6 of the last 7 Spurs game been double-digit blowouts. We'll see if that continues. But then you have this Memphis team, just absolute woes right now. 1-8 straight up, 2-7 against the spread their last 9. They are better at home, great at home. One of the best records straight up and against the spread at home in the NBA this season. But for me right now, with all the issues Memphis has going on, they're on my no-bet list for this moment. So Grizzlies have won the last 4 meetings. They won the last 2 in Memphis by double digits. Just soft for me to pull the trigger on this Grizzlies team. Obviously, no major true lines out. Right now, I'm seeing a soft line opener, a -7 at 5 dimes. We'll see how true that number becomes.
Yeah, as we said, Memphis 1-8. They'll get everybody back. Brooks missed the last game for a suspension. Ja Morant missed his last game. They'll be back in the lineup. Still obviously won't have Adams. He's still going to miss some time. They've dominated the Bulls the last 4 meetings. 4 straight wins, 3 of them by double digits. Chicago will have a game tonight. As you said, how many minutes are you going to have DeRozan and Levine out there for? And that'll make an opinion how strong Chicago will be coming into Memphis tomorrow. Tough spot for the Bulls. You're going to have a Grizzly team that needs a win at home. Good spot for Memphis catching a team on a back-to-back. If San Antonio could give them a little battle, makes it even that much better. Again, don't have a line other than what Ben sees right now. That's the only line that we see. We'll see what the line is, what the minutes are. I like to see the minutes. Guys, I bet on the Chicago Bulls. Not only did I bet them on tonight also, meaning Thursday night against San Antonio. I'm looking for them.
Monday night. I think you said Thursday a couple of times. Monday night.
Monday night. Okay, Monday. This is Monday for Tuesday. So Monday night tonight. The night we're shooting it, playing San Antonio. I'm looking for a double-digit win here over the Spurs. Spurs beat the Bulls earlier in the year in San Antonio. I've just got Chicago rated a little bit higher, it looks, than the sports books, the line makers. If you guys remember, I also had them Saturday night against Portland. We laid 3.5. The line went against us on that one. So the sharps, they've got the Bulls rated lower than I've got, obviously. What I also liked about that spot was Lillard had played 40 minutes in his prior 2 games. So Portland was back-to-back 3rd and 4 without Nurkic. He'll be out also through the All-Star break at least. And they're a short team, thin bench, as I've talked about many times before. And with Lillard playing 40 minutes in back-to-back games, the first 2 games of the trip, just thought that they'd be able to wear him down. Now, Lillard had a big game, but they caught them in the 3rd quarter, blew them out. So more of the same. If I'm looking at a lot of minutes between Levine and DeRozan tonight, may make me favor Memphis more. I look at the minutes. How tough of a game was it? A cruise game? These are all the things that take into account, Ben.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with all these back-to-backs. Obviously, on the Friday or the Thursday when we record, but Friday episodes that you guys have been seeing a little bit less back-to-backs. But this next game, John, no back-to-backs. T-Wolves and Nuggets is the second game of a 2-game set of a home-and-home. You just had Minnesota, who absolutely blew them out, 128-98 in Minnesota. Denver, kind of a give-up game. Sat Jokic, Murray, KCP, Gordon. So they didn't bring much for that game. And it's a weird home-and-home set because usually kind of, especially when a team, gives up the first game, they sit everybody, you're going to be looking to go with them in the second game. But Minnesota has a lot of success in this matchup. They're 5-2 their last 7. They have won the 5 of the last 6 meetings, 6-0 against the spread. And what is it now? Covered 7 straight to Denver, I believe it is.
Covered 7 straight in Denver. So, yeah, normally with this home and home, like Ben said, we'd be looking to favor the team that just got blown out by 30. But I'm not looking to buck a 7-0 7-0 against the spread number in this spot. This line has already gone up to 8. At Bet Online right now, I see some 7s and I see 8 at Bet Online. If this line's continue to go up, I could only be looking at the Timberwolves with following that trend.
Yeah, could be one of those, maybe a Timberwolves halftime line as well. Say Denver comes out hot with that big number there, would be a little bit enticing. Denver, the best first quarter team in the NBA. We'll see if that continues.
If you remember, Ben, we had Denver. We had Minnesota when you were visiting with me here down in Florida.
Yep, same matchup.
In the game at Denver, similar situation. Denver was about a 9-point favorite. They only won by 4. Some teams just handle some teams. Minnesota just covers when they go to Denver.
Yes, they do. And last game on the card we have here, John, Thunder Lakers. Obviously a big game on the night. If LeBron's going to break the record, does he get 36? Obviously, he always claims to be a little bit of a pass-first kind of a player. Pass-first player scores 30 a game, though. I think he's going to have a little bit of a longer leash on that. We'll see if he actually goes for it. This Thunder team going to be coming in on a back-to-back from Golden State. So not too long of a travel. It's like a 40-minute flight, but still not an easy little back-to-back there, playing up north and coming back down. We'll see how hard of a game it is they have tonight against the Warriors. And then this Lakers team, they're returning from this trip. They go 2-3 on the trip. Anthony Davis been playing better lately. This is one of those games I would lean a little bit to the Lakers. Don't love it with all the news going on with LeBron. But it's just like opening night ring ceremony. When you have that big night, when you get the record, when you have all eyes on you and there's a celebration to it, you don't want a loss on the day that you pass Kareem. You don't want that kind of ruin the blemish the night. So that's part of it. Lakers, this should be a matchup. They catch Thunder in a pretty good spot. We'll see if OKC's resting anyone on a back-to-back. They've been losing a little bit of their depth lately with guys like Dort and Pokovensky, however you say it, who's been out for a while. Some of that depth they've had, they're losing that slowly but surely. So it'll be interesting if anyone sits. Slightest of leans to the Lakers in this game, but really a game I would stay away from.
Look, depending on how they address, if LeBron is able to score the 36 points tomorrow, do they stop the game? If LeBron is in the game that late, is it a close game? Is it a blowout? So a lot of things will have to take into account. Or does LeBron want to wait a day and break it against the Bucks? But that's the next team that comes in, the team that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar got the bulk of those points with. The number on the overnight line right now, it opened 6.5. It's gone to 7.5. So the money's already shown up for the Lakers without the knowledge of the outcome of the OKC game, how tough a game it was, blah, blah, blah. 7.5's a ballpark number. Would I take it? Now, will OKC come with a little better of a number, with a little better of a game tomorrow if they lose tonight? If they wind up going to Golden State? Look, we bet Golden State tonight. If OKC goes to Golden State tonight and wins after they've been beaten 7 straight, could that be a letdown game for them tomorrow? Sure, it could be. So it all depends. The spot is as big as the numbers, as big as the ratings are. So is the spot. So how they do tonight, what type of game it is tonight, we'll have to do. They get blown out tonight. They cruise. They'll get up to play the Lakers tomorrow and maybe put it in their heads, hey, we're going to stop. LeBron's not going to break the record against us. So all of that all has to take account on what goes on tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be one of two things because OKC is a very young team. So a lot of those guys obviously spent their whole life idolizing LeBron as they grew up, and then now playing against him. Could be a couple of puppies caught in the starlight, being starstruck a little bit if LeBron breaks that record in front of them. A lot to go into that, like you said, with the back-to-backs, though. That's pretty much a short card tomorrow, guys, for the Tuesday slate. John, one thing I wanted to kind of go over a little bit, and this is a question that I see get asked around a lot, statements I see people, obviously, there's different ways to go about it, but as far as when to place a bet, you always have people who say, oh, you have to wait till game time, you know the injuries, oh, you got to bet the night before, you got to get the best line, this and that. And there is no right answer in my eyes, right? There's opportunities to bet that line early, get the edge on it. There's opportunities to wait. Sometimes you go against the sharp action. And if you look at the bets, like I said, it's a 10-4 hot start to February. You look at the bets from these last few days here, you have kind of multiple situations of that. You have that Bulls game the other night against Portland where line opened up. You had that lean to Bulls. You waited for that line to come down. That line comes down to 3.5. That's when you fire. Then you have that Washington game against Brooklyn where you have that line that opened +3 goes to 1. And that edge ended up being massive in there for that 4-point swing. So one wanted you to touch on that a little bit. And that's just the thing I feel like people always kind of, especially just random people on sports betting, social media, there's a lot of false claims or false statements people say left and right. And that's one I find people say a lot of. It's just either one is right, one is wrong, but I think there's multiple ways to go about it.
Of course there is, Ben. You just answered it. No need for me to go over it. It's exactly what you just said. If we don't jump on that +3, look, there's no way that the Nets could be a 3-point favorite. I didn't care if they win by 33. Yeah, they could have won by 4, but they couldn't be a 3-point favorite with the situation going on with Kyrie. Again, like I said, we take that game. Kuzma gets hurt in the second half, and he gets hurt in the first half, actually, misses the entire second half. So you got to jump on that 3 when you had time. It wasn't going to be there. The same opposite with the Bulls. I had no interest in the game at 4.5. I need room. I don't bet a game if I'm a half a point or a point off. I need a little room. That's called room for error. And not everybody's numbers. Look at the last second make by the Nets. 1/10 of a second, 2/10 of a second earlier, we lose that game. So there's got to be a little room for error. When the game went down to 3.5, it was attractive enough for me. We take the game we bet tonight. We talk about literally just before we started to shoot the podcast, get the news that Beal's going to be out. That bet's got to be made instantaneously. We laid 1. By the time the message sent, it was already 2. So I hope you guys understand. We can only make a bet and get it out as quick as possible. We're not the only sharp guys that are sitting in front of screens looking for info. So as we got the Beal info, other people got that info. So we sent that out at -1 as a love bet. Even at -2, it could be a love bet. If you want anything past that, you take it down to a like bet. So instead of a 5% bet, maybe it's a 3% bet at -2.5. 3 tops. I wouldn't have laid any more than 3. Again, I don't have time to type all this. We got to type stuff in. I got these big fat fingers over here. I'm trying to type in. I'm not a guy that's been doing text my whole life. By the time we get in, there's just a little lag time. So you got to understand. But we get it out as quick as possible. I'm sitting on top of computers. That information comes in. Bang, we're hitting our stuff, and we're going out. So you bet when you have the information, when you have the right line, that's when you bet. Do we get fucked, for lack of a better word, once in a while in the morning, taking a lead and a guy's out of a game? Sure, but it also happens the other way. We think a guy might be out. We take a lead with the game, and he is out. Look, yesterday I laid a terrible number. Timberwolves opened as a 1 or 2 point favorite. That line went up to 7 when the info came out. So I didn't send it out at -1 or money line. I sent it out at -7. So my guys still know, even at 7, that was a bargain. As Ben said earlier, Jokic, Gordon, Murray, KCP, 4 of their 5 starters. Kevin Porter Jr. was the only starter to play in the game yesterday. They were punting for the game. Give me the Timberwolves in that game. And I sent it out at -7, and that game went to 9 by the time tip-off. That game was over by the end of the first quarter. You knew you weren't going to have to worry about that. They had a 20-point lead.
Yeah, that's just one of the things that, there's a lot. I could go on a full 5-hour rant about all the crap that's on social media and the betting world that's just so just false and just
99% of them don't even know what the hell they're talking about.
yeah, exactly. But even when people are inquiring about, how to beat the bookie, they're like, oh, like, when do you get bets? And it's like, oh, well, there's no time you get bets. There's no amount of bets you get. It just depends on when you have an edge, how you have an edge. And that's kind of when you get a bet. So when there's an edge available, I just feel like we got to talk about that a little bit. Just a lot of bad information out there in the betting world, guys. And make sure you check your sources and make sure you're kind of doing your own research beyond that, just because you will lose a lot of money if you're believing just any Joe Schmo out there who claims to be the best thing since the wheel.
Look, all I can tell you is this, guys. We just put out. You're seeing this on Friday. I can't get my date right. You're going to see this on Tuesday. Today's Monday, so we just put out Monday a free 3-day trial. It's free. Just sign up. Look, I'm not trying to capture your credit card or anything. You could sign up and cancel right after that. Become a member for 3 days. Look at in detail. Look at how we write a preview on every game. I don't just tell you I bet so-and-so. We'll tell you who we bet, but I'll also give you a preview on every game. Not only just the games I bet, but every single game. This way, if you're on the fence of a game, there might be a statistic that tells you, oh, let me bet this way. I'll also give you all my ratings, home and away. You can actually make the number just by looking at that, the base number, obviously. Throughout the day, we update the website. Beal is out, and we got that info at 6:15, whatever it was. Boom, we shoot that info right out there. As we're getting info throughout the day, we don't send out a bet and then go play golf. We don't go boating. We go fishing. We sit in front of computers all day long. When I walk out to get a workout or lunch, Ben takes over. So we're in constant touch. We're on top of every injury. So a free 3-day trial. You got nothing to lose. Put me up against anybody. Like I said, I just done a couple of guys' shows tonight, and they all call themselves Kappas. You're a Kappa when you could tell me what the number on a game is. Not when you just make a pick. Not when you just hear other guys talk and give a pick for a game. Or some of these guys are watching what the public bets and bets against. That's actually their strategy, and they want you to pay for it. Some of the guys that are out there are so insulting to my profession. It's ridiculous. The public's on this. We're going to bet that. The line moved this way. This is the way to bet. Guys, you want to bet at the end of the line. Let's just take, for example, there's a 4-point move. We took the Wizards +3. Wizards went to a 1-point favorite. Well, Wizards got to win. It's a 4-point move. Well, you lost it if you laid 1. With me, you took 3. You won. That's the difference. You bet when you've got the edge. That's when you make the bet. Does some lines go against us? They do. I bet the Bulls the other night -3.5. That game ticked down to 3 against Portland.
Yep.
Looked like we were in trouble at halftime. Back-to-back, third and fourth showed up in the second half. That's when the Bulls got them. Guys, I'm not always right. I'm going to say this over and over. I'm going to strike out 40% of my bets. But I can guarantee you, I have a reason every time I make a bet. I'm not here throwing darts at the dartboard, picking teams or picking straws. We have a reason that we make bets. We use the line, we use the spot, the trends, the injuries, and that's how we make an informed opinion. You'll get the best sports betting info on our site.
Yeah, as far as to the point you made about people just fading the public blindly, there's been some people on the TikTok videos who've been commenting about that, just fading the public and whatnot. I think it was actually that Wizards-Nets game where people were commenting, oh, public's all over Washington, this and that. Public wins. I mean, go look at, let's look at the NFL season, for example, right? Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, shit, how many times in a row they cover 12-1 against the spread run this season? You don't think the public's all over that? Sharps and the public are going to line up sometimes. So just because the public's on it doesn't mean it's a bad bet. There's all those reasons, like you just mentioned, the spots and everything else. So with it being the right number, that plays a factor into that.
There's only 2 teams playing every game, guys.
Yeah.
The public has got a 50-50 shot. Okay, that's some guys just don't know the difference, and some of you guys out there really think that these guys out there say they hit 70% and their whale bets hit 80-something%. If you believe that, you're the sucker. They got you. Okay, if you're hitting 60%, you're phenomenal. That's why 50-50. Anybody could flip a coin. Who do you like in the Super Bowl and flip the coin? It's only 2 teams playing. Where the book is going to beat you is that 11-10. You're supposed to hit 50%. But if you hit 50%, I'm going to get the juice. That's all. Look, as a book back in the day, that's all I wanted to win. I just wanted to win that 10 cents. That 10 cents out of every dollar. That's what I wanted to win. I don't want to win every single bet. Give me the juice. Give me the juice. Give me the juice. That's why I pounded in my guys' heads. Stop buying numbers. A half a point is worth approximately 7 cents. Okay, so you're already laying a dime. Now, each half a point you buy for an extra 10 cents, you're literally giving away 3 cents. I know we're talking pennies, and it doesn't sound like much. Over the course of the season, it amounts to dollars. That amounts to what's going in the pocket. This way, instead of having this in your pocket, you have this in your pocket. That's the difference. Count those pennies. That's where the money comes from. So let's hit between 56, 60%. We're going to make all the money.
Yeah, buying points. I mean, football, I guess here and there are some spots, especially with that key number of field goal, maybe once every while. But a sport like basketball, there's what totals are now 230, 240 is gonna be 240 fucking points. I mean, what's that half point gonna do for you? How much time you're laying that juice over a long period of time? And yeah, that one just love.
Look, it's simple, guys. There was 6 NBA games yesterday. Okay, just this is random. So 6 NBA games Sunday. Okay,
Yep.
6 games. If you bought a full point on both sides, either way, didn't affect any one of your games. That's don't buy points. Don't buy points. Don't buy points. That's all I can tell you. Don't buy points.
Yeah, and to do the math on that, say you laid those 6 games, say you bought the point on every one, which you didn't need. Say you go 3-3, buying the point, laying the extra 20 cents. You're going to be down that. Say you're betting 130 a game, then you're going to be down an extra 90, 120 each time going around. So definitely adds up in the long term.
Look, how to beat the bookie. What it's about is giving you sports information, giving you the best knowledge. Now, it would be to my benefit, like most of these clowns out there, if they bet a favorite, they tell you to bet the money line, minus 140, minus 180. There's a particular clown, don't even want to say, he bets the 3-4 biggest favorites in a parlay, and he's still laying 200, and he calls it a parlay. To have 20-point favorites in college basketball, that's a joke, okay? You want to minimize the book's edge, okay? And by buying half a point, you're giving a bigger edge. So this is the only way to do it. What we're about is making you guys sharper, giving you the best sports betting information you can to make the best decision you can. Buying points is not one of the best decisions.
Yeah, absolutely not. And hey, if you guys listening, if you guys have any questions, betting related, strategy related, please put them on the Instagram, put them on the YouTube, wherever, post them. We'll find them. We'll cover those questions on here because, like John said, that's the goal here is to sharpen up average bettors and really just try to put some better quality information out there. Because if you guys look, 99% of, like what John said earlier, the betting information, the betting content, a lot of it's just bullshit, scams, and lies after lies after lies, trying to sell you on a false fairy tale.
Look, go look at BR Betting on Instagram or any of these sites. All they're showing are these crazy parlays. These in case you want to go play the lotto. You got as much chance with these crazy parlays. You bet straight. Don't buy points, okay? And bet with the right information that we're going to give you, and you're going to hang in there and try to get yourself over that 52.4% to be profitable.
Nope, that's the key right there. 52.4, getting over that. And John, that's kind of going to wrap it up. A little bit of a shorter episode here. I don't know if you have any other points you want to make. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to go over.
Friday, we're trying, Thursday night, we'll shoot our next podcast, and we'll talk more about the Super Bowl, trying to get some people on, some knowledgeable people with us to share their opinions. Me and Ben will give our feel on it. We've already set our bet out last week to our How to Beat the Bookie members, but we'll also share it here on Friday's podcast.
Yeah, guys, that one's going to be a little bit longer episode. A lot going on. Obviously, Super Bowl weekend, lot to cover there. Hopefully, we have a good guest list coming in. Also, that Thursday's the deadline, so should be some interesting stuff NBA-wise that we can touch in. But obviously, it's the biggest football weekend of the year, so that's going to be a lot of the emphasis for the Friday episode. But hey, other than that, if you guys don't already, follow on Instagram, follow on TikTok, How to Beat the Bookie. That handle's there below. You're going to get free plays there just for following. Download the app. If you're not a member, go check it out. Like John said, there's a free 3-day trial you can go use. That promo code is LAMBO, LAMBO. Use that. Go check out the app. Check what the information is that we've been talking about. See it for yourself what's out there to grab, John.
Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.